So as background, I've been in biotech for years. I am originally from the East Coast. I moved to North Carolina 9 years ago, and I moved to North Carolina working at a New York City company. Uh, just prior to starting Falcon Therapeutics, I was a global VP for a Danaher company, and I spent a great deal of time in France. Lyon is by far one of my favorites. We had clients there, and we were there often. And to speak to Jean-Georges' point, it's a quick flight. Everything from North Carolina is a pretty quick flight. And that's one of the reasons I moved. So I moved from the East Coast, from the New York City area to RTP. When I had the opportunity to build a company and I was located here, I really gave a lot of careful consideration to what the company would need from an infrastructure and cultural perspective to be successful. Could I have the next slide, please? So our technology was spun out of the University of North Carolina in 2017. We have a gene-modified cell therapy product. What that means is that we've created a new class of cells that actually crawl and hunt and home into the site of solid tumor cancers and release a cytotoxic killing agent. So it's high tech, it's complex, and we really needed to set up in a place that could support that kind of infrastructure. We've raised $4.3 million to date. I'll go through that a little bit to walk through where our funding came from. It's usually one of the questions I get asked, how do we fund early? And we're expected in clinical trials in 2022. So when we discussed where we were going to locate, excuse me, we looked at the early stage infrastructure, the funding support, and making sure that we had a community that was integrated so that when we needed something as a small startup, we could easily source it locally, an ecosystem supportive of growth. So not just when we start out, but where can we grow and where can we afford to grow? And where can we get our workforce from? An educated workforce is very important to most of us in any of the technology industry. And if we don't have the people locally, where can we get them? Next slide, please. So early stage infrastructure is what Raleigh-Durham area does very, very well. We have a lot of incubator spaces. So no matter what stage of growth you are, you can get office space, you can get laboratory space, you can get ag bio space, and you can expand in most of the facilities as your company grows. So as our company has grown at Falcon, we started with one office and there was 3 of us in one office so that we had more money for the science. And then we went to 2 offices and then we got more lab space. So we're able to easily scale and spend our money wisely. In the community, there are a lot of resources for early stage companies and growth stage companies. We have the North Carolina Biotech Center, whose goal and job is to support, attract, and retain biotech in North Carolina. We have the Center for Entrepreneurial Development, and they support biotech. There's a lot of AI companies. There's a lot of ag tech companies. So whatever the technology is, the Center for Entrepreneurial Development has mentorship programs, lots of very good networking events. One of my friends runs an ag tech incubator, and they put early stage ag tech companies under one umbrella to support their growth. As I said, lots of networking. Whatever your interest is, whatever your comfort level is, you will find networking. From I would like to go to the French networking events and hope that I will get an invitation. We attend industry-specific events, CEO events, growth company events. There is always plenty to do. And the community really has an entrepreneurial mindset. Whatever you think of and you would like help with, there are always people to be connected to that you can bounce ideas off of. Next slide, please. So funding support. I find when I'm outside of the US, everyone's very curious on how we get funded. So I'll share with you how Falcon got funded as a biotech company. So we have seed investors, venture capital money that actually came from California. That was our initial seed money. In addition, we applied at the North Carolina Biotech Center for a loan, and we were granted a loan from the Biotech Center that we repay when we hit specific funding milestones. We received matching funds from the state of North Carolina. We also have venture capital money from local investors. We have angel investors who are also from North Carolina. And we're partnered with the University of North Carolina with NIH funding. I believe that we're on our 5th grant from the National Institute of Health. It's highly competitive. I'm not here to say that this is easy, but if you have a cutting edge technology and you're looking for funding, there's a lot of support to help you apply for grants and to introduce you to the right people. Next slide, please. As I said, integrated community, special interest groups, bike, hike. We talk a lot here about the lifestyle because it really is a very nice work-life balance. As an example, I'll share personally, I spend 4 days a week in RTP and I spend 3 days a week at the beach. So there's a lot of flexibility for the lifestyle that you lead. Very culturally diverse community, very accepting community. Short of New York City, where I was a lot, I'm not sure that I know of any community that really integrates as well as Raleigh-Durham. Networking for all levels of career. It's pretty easy to find events and growth opportunities within the community for your teams also. So not just C-level, but there are a lot of I'm involved in Women in Bio, Healthcare Women's Business Organization, and a couple of the different biotech networking events. And a lot of people who have had successful exits, who are retired, semi-retired. I'm not sure we ever retire here because I think all of us have our hands in so many things. So when you're looking for advisors, when you're looking for boards, for board candidates, they're usually in the community. Next slide. So why are we staying? Because the other place that we really looked closely at was Boston. We had some funding available in Boston. And as we grow, it becomes very expensive for us. And our personal choice was to stay here because our money went further. We could fund more science without having as much overhead. So we're looking now at facility builds, and the price per square foot is reasonable. And in the outlying communities, if we build a manufacturing space, we have a lot of very good incentives. And we have an abundance of community colleges and the 3 major universities and different training programs tailored to provide the specific workforce we're looking for. Next slide. So what are the bottlenecks? I was asked to discuss, not just what is fabulous, but where do we struggle? And the incubator and early stage lab space for us fills up quickly. It is competitive. There's a lot. We're building by the day, but there's a lot of companies coming here too. Funding challenges always for startups until you can get that specific proof of concept. So look for your champions here to help you. Community integration is difficult right now during COVID. I think everybody is struggling, and more so the new community members. So we're doing our best to help them stay connected. And it is competitive for local investment. So a lot of times we have to look outside Raleigh-Durham. The good news is we can. Next slide. So why are we staying? So at a point in time when we're getting ready to go into clinical trials, we're staying primarily because we've grown roots here and we have a really good support system. It's easy for us to attract talent. So some of my talent will come from Boston, will come from California, will come from New York, and they're attracted to the area because we have good schools, we have a lower cost of living, and we really do have a quality lifestyle. As I said, incentives to stay. The state gives us incentives to stay, to build and to keep companies in North Carolina, and it's much lower rent, so my money goes further. Large network, entrepreneurial focus. I really have enjoyed the 9 years I've spent here, particularly the last 3 leading Falcon. And I will make the offer to anyone. If you would like introductions or further conversations, I'm happy to help in any way.